Welcome everybody, hi to another Fgeitas show. Today is March the 13th. And for some reason this fade out went abruptly fast. I don't know what happened. It's fine. Okay, don't worry. Something I'll figure out in post, I guess. That's what happens when you use free software to do this show. Oh man, what a week. We're back on our regular schedule, the Thursday show, thanks to my own schedule, my work schedule, being normalized again. So in the meantime, we'll still do the Thursday show. And man, it has not been a great day. I'm not gonna lie to you. So so like me and my partner now, we do meal prep on Sundays usually. Like we cook for the whole week, so that way we don't need to cook during the week. But happens more than we like to admit. Usually there's always one of the dishes that we plan that always has more food than it should. So we got like an extra like Tupperware of food. This week we made some shish kebabs, some skewers, some meat skewers, and with vegetables, and the vegetables were too much. And one of the because it was too much vegetables, we put like just one container with vegetables, and I thought, okay, this will be like on the side, this will be on the side here, and then I'll decide to do whatever with this, like an extra meal or something. Turns out I forgot to label that, and this lunch, I was heating up my food, like I was microwaving the food. As soon as I take it out of the microwave, I start looking for the meat, and there was no meat. It turns out I heated the wrong container. I was like, shit. So I guess I'm doing a vegan meal today. Nothing against vegan meals, but I do need more. I would need more substantial thing than just eating a bunch of vegetables today. So yeah, day is going great already. I mean, this week we almost had like the first show. We almost had the first show since we started. And I was talking to Rini about this as well. We almost had the first show since I started doing this this podcast without studios shutting down or like people getting laid off. And I was getting to like Wednesday nights, like, oh, turns out like nothing happened yet. Wow, I'm actually surprised. As soon as I wake up, I saw the Spectre news and the Shrouds game, I believe. I think it's from that content creator, or at least he advocated for it or something. And turns out Spectre is shutting down. Like, okay, it was just close. We almost had a good week, guys. Almost. Sucks, man. I'm not gonna lie. I saw the game. I saw Spectre like gameplay, and the main gameplay ability that they showcased, the thing about where you have like a secondary body, soul, a Spectre. Obviously, that's where the name comes from. Yeah, you play as two characters. I thought like the idea is neat, but it's not fleshed out in a way that people will engage this in a way that they thought they would, to be honest. Because as soon as I saw, like, yeah, you play as 2 characters, then I guess like my first thought is, well, I guess I can sacrifice one and find out where people are. Because, you know, that's... And immediately that's what happened. As soon as people start playing that game, is like, oh yeah, I can just use the first character as a bait, and then I'll just find out where people are, and that's exactly what happened. I think they were expecting a more, I guess, tactical approach for that game, but the mechanic was not so developed in a way that allowed for more deeper gameplay. Instead of like the most useful thing, which is like having an extra life, I guess, in a Valorant style shooter or a Counter-Strike style shooter. And like, yeah, I didn't feel that game had legs to stand on, I guess. Which obviously sucks. Like, sucks for the team, sucks for people that enjoy the game. But I didn't see this game lasting very long, and turns out like it's not even leaving the beta, or it's leaving the beta like it's season 1. We have a letter here. Like, it's been 2 weeks since we launched Spectre Divide season 1 Flashpoint, and we're incredibly grateful for the positivity and support that you've shown over the short time. Unfortunately, the season 1 launch hasn't achieved the level of success we needed to sustain the game and keep Mountain Top afloat. Yeah, it's not the best outcome. Like, I was not wishing for the team to fail, but yeah, I think it was like 80 millions for the whole thing, like to make this game since 2020. 80 millions, it's a lot of money. Or maybe it's not a lot of money, I guess, in nowadays terms, in terms of game budget and all that. Yeah, like in like, other than that, like I've played a little bit at UFO 50 on stream last week as well, and I kept going away at it. I was playing Pilot Quest almost all week. Because I wanted to do the cherry achievement for that specific game, and damn, that game is so Pilot Quest is like an idle game. Like, you think of a cookie clicker, but also you have like a randomized dungeon that you go into to collect more materials to basically to. So the story is that you are a pilot and you crash your ship onto a foreign planet, and then you have to collect 3 pieces and stuff that is inside of a forest, but that forest is randomly generated every time you start a new game, not on subsequential expeditions into said forest. So like, you have a hub that you walk on, and then you go into that forest. So like, on your playthrough, the whole playthrough, that forest will remain the same, but if you start a new game again, the forest will change. Like, the layout where caves are doesn't change that much, to be honest. It's more like enemy placement and all that, but it's a neat game. But as you are offline, the timer, the system has like an internal timer that keeps running, and it will generate some of the currencies or some of the materials that you have to craft your stuff for the ship. It works kind of wonky. I'm not gonna lie, because I left the game all day open, and it was doing fine. But onto my accounts, if I turn down the game and turn it back on the next day, the timer stopped working for some reason. Like, that's not really how it should work. Like, if you are, even with UFO 50 shut down, like, it should work, but it doesn't, apparently. But yeah, like, so the cherry achievement for that game, like, you have to defeat a boss that appears after you collect the whole parts, but you have to defeat him six times in a whole expedition. So you enter the forest, defeat the guy 6 times, and collect whatever he drops after the 6th time. But you have a timer, and the timer is also your health, kind of like what Dave the Diver does, like as your oxygen levels is also your shared health. But so you need to find ways of like getting your timer up without taking damage, and that guy has a fuck ton of health, and I can't. Like, I got to my 5th kill, and on the 6th I was like, I can't battle him again, and I lost immediately. Like, as soon as I found him, I lost immediately. I was like, so fucking close of getting this fucking cherry, and I couldn't. I was so pissed. But it's fine. Like, it's fine. No, I'll probably get it. Maybe I'll stream it like this weekend or something and see if I can get it, or if I get it during the week, I'll try other games on stream. But yeah, UFO 50 has been crazy. Has been like, I didn't thought I was getting so addicted with those specific types of games, and turns out there's, I mean, I knew there was an ARG, but I got to the end of the ARG of the whole package, and turns out UFO 50 is actually UFO 51. There's a hidden game there called Miasma Tower, which is not listed on the main menu, and there's like hidden story, hidden lore about the game's development. And I haven't done much yet on that specific game, but it's kind of cool. But yeah, like, what do you guys have been playing? Like, I haven't been playing much, to be honest. Like, work has been absolutely crazy, not gonna lie. Work has been crazy, and I barely prepared for this stream, not gonna lie. And some stuff happened during the week. I saw Kojima's stream. I saw Kojima's stream about Death Stranding 2, and him promoting the collector's edition and the watch and all that. And it was like, okay, it felt kind of weird. Like, I knew Death Stranding 1 had the thing about they had several collabs with like high fashion brands in some way, but on the trailer, like, they show the watch, and then suddenly the guy, like Kojima, on stage was like, oh yeah, we have the same watch, it's by Hamilton. It's gonna be like, okay, man, like, this, sure, dude, whatever. I love Kojima. Like, I think his games are pretty funny, but I also think that people take him way too seriously, and I don't think he takes him way that seriously. And I think that's what's funny about it. But at the same time, sometimes his stuff is so out there that I don't think I can tell the difference, to be honest, between, or I can tell the line where he's being like cocky and full of himself, or if it's just like being like whatever. And yeah, like the designs are not his, and at the same time, I don't like, I'm not surprised that some designs are similar to Metal Gear, because I mean, Yoji Shinkawa is actually working with him again, so like a lot of Metal Gear designs are tied to Shinkawa's style of design, right? So like, I'm not surprised that we have a character similar to Solid Snake in its appearance, and the Metal Gear Rex again. Similar but legally distinct, yeah. In fact, Ruben, sorry, can you send that Ubisoft thing for my news channel, because I think I missed it. Although I think this was talked about already, in terms of when Ubisoft and Tencent was trying to do the thing they were trying to do. Saw a lot of people complaining about. Oh yeah, okay. This is like a super small story, but I saw a lot of people complaining about like the Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 4 type of deal that the Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 4 career was different, and everyone okay, thank you. Yeah. Everyone was complaining about like Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 4 career like being changed and being like different from the actual game. And I got my Steam Deck with some legally obtained ROMs for GameCube, and I decided to give it a whirl. I can play a lot of games on that emulation station or something. And I was just tinkering it, and I realized, oh yeah, I have Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 4, so let me do some runs here. And I think like I'm like 2 hours into that game, or 3 hours into that game, and I found, what was it? It was like, it was part of a quest where, like, I guess we can call it GTA style quests, right? Where you walk around the scenario, and you go up to an NPC, press circle to talk to them. And one of them was like something related to pimp my nuns. And I'm like, Jesus, this would not, like, this type of humor would not roll like nowadays. Which honestly, like, I don't mind, you know, right? I don't mind like that people cut down on that specific type of humor. I think it's very, I think it's a very specific point in time where they wanted to make like the edgiest humor you could find. But nowadays, like, as you know, video games grew and more companies are like working on this, and there's more money involved, more advertisers, right? I think like people would look at that as like, this is, it's not even like that it's bad or offensive. It's just corny, man. It's like, it's bad. You look at us like, oh, that's so fucking cringe now. Like, you, like, it made my, I looked at some of the questions like, this makes my skin crawl. God, like, and like, and then I booted up Thug right after. And like, you can feel really that Thug is what they wanted to do in Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 4. And you're like, okay, it's like, it's not as bad. Thug 2 is just like, I hate Thug 2. Thug 2 is so bad. I know a lot of people like Thug 2, but Thug 1 is really where they really nailed the style, and then America's Wasteland as well. But Thug 2 is like, it's just jackass the game, and it's not very good, man. I'm so sorry. Like, I if there's fans of Tony Hawk's Underground 2, like, just it did not age well. Okay. And yeah, 4 did not, like, I feel they added some cool stuff, like the spine transfer. The spine transfer is cool, but I don't feel like it's as fantastic as the addition of a revert on Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3. Like, for to keep the combo going and all that, like, I think the revert is a game changer. The spine transfer is a nice to have. It's not as fulcral to the whole combo system, I think. And yeah, people were complaining about, and I'm like, okay, this is Iron Galaxy. Like, I bet this was done on a budget. And as more as I played like the original version of 4 for the GameCube, I realized that if we wanted a full remake of the 4 story mode, like, I don't think that game would fit inside the remaster at all, because it's not even like the whole format. Like, the levels are bigger, but not as bigger as you think. And having those things like with a 2-minute time constraint fits the overall theme of the remaster. But also, there's a lot of voice acting. Not great voice acting, but there's a lot of voice acting in Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 4. And I don't think they have access to those recordings in a way that are like in high quality. Hey Mark, welcome to the stream, man. I'm good. But yeah, I don't think they make those record. I don't think they have access to the original recordings, and they could, like, I guess, turn it into HD or like to get a better sound quality. So that means that they would also have to re-record those lines again, and maybe find the original actors or maybe replace them with other actors, and that has a cost as well. And I'm like, the more I think about they changing Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 4 and be like, yeah, we had to fit this on a 2-minute time classic style. I'm like, yeah, okay, this absolutely makes perfect sense. Also the secret characters, but I'm fine with secret characters because, like, I don't need to skate as Darth Maul again. Or we had Doom Guy on Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3. We're getting Doom Slayer on Tony Hawk's 3+4. So I guess it's the same. But also there was a character based on Jenna Jameson, the porn actress, and I'm like, I don't think this was gonna fly today, right? Or Officer Dick. I don't think you can play as Officer Dick anymore as well. And yeah, I think the more I think about it, like, I think this change was done for the best. I get it, like, that there's fans of Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 4 out there, and obviously I think that in some weird shape and fashion, I think it's kind of sad that we're not getting the original thing with a new coat of paint. But the more I was playing that game, I was like, Jesus, this is so bad. Like, I maybe we don't want to play this again. I think. But yeah, fine. Like, it's fine. In the meantime, I found out I can actually play more GameCube games, and I think it's time for me to finally play both the Twin Snakes for Metal Gear Solid 1, because I heard it's not that good, but then I heard people like saying, hey, it turns out it's actually pretty decent. It's not as good as the original, but it's not bad. It's just more anime, I guess. I'm like, okay, I think I can take that. With some tweaks and changes. But, like, sure, whatever. I don't care. Like, I just want to see how the game holds up. And I can play actually Eternal Darkness, which is a game I never finished. And I think it's the only horror game made by Nintendo. And I can play that on Steam Deck. Steam Deck runs that pretty fine with an added HD texture mod. So I can actually play that very well and not looking awful on my handheld. And that's like, nice. I dig this. You can probably play other games there, but those two are the ones I have on my side. Why were we getting to the news then? Double shot. Also, why doesn't this guy record my... I wish my software, like, recorded the sound volume that I had. But yeah, let's get into the news. First one here. We got Hideo Kojima's latest Death Stranding 2 trailer. He's here with a confirmed June release. I guess we can watch the trailer. It's probably too loud for you guys.
You, sir, are an unrepentant criminal, guilty of illegally entering.
Eternal Darkness is a crime that it doesn't have a remake yet. Pfft, yeah.
The only thing that I'm guilty of is the
We're never getting that. That's something I'm pretty sure.
look to your crimes.
Bring it on, because I'm not doing this shit anymore.
What makes you think you have a choice?
Especially because Silicon Knights went the way of the dodo, right? So I don't think you can expect even mentions of Eternal Darkness anywhere by Nintendo.
No one would possibly allow that.
That's why I have to smuggle them in.
Also, we got Luca Marinelli,
They make me bring them over from Mexico.
which is obviously not Snake, because he's Italian.
This thing between us. was a mistake.
No. No, it was not a mistake. It was not a mistake.
Closest thing he's seen made was PT and recently mouthwashing. In different ways, yeah. In different ways, those games are probably the closest in terms of themes, I guess. But I also feel that Eternal Darkness is way closer to a Silent Hill, Resident Evil of old than those games. I like I'm not like I'm very excited for this game. Okay, like I'm very excited for Death Stranding 2. I'm very excited like about exploring and looking at this. Like playing the game, playing the first game was super chill to me. I will probably get copyright struck by this. Let me know if it's too loud or not really. It takes, yeah, was the fourth wall breaking mind screw. Also, I don't know if you know this, the insanity mechanics of that game was copyrighted by Nintendo. They were trademarked and patented by Nintendo and Silicon Knights. So it's one of, like, you had some games trying to mimic the thing. Like you had Amnesia, the first Amnesia had the insanity bar and all that, but the fourth wall breaking with those mechanics ended up not like you couldn't see anyone else replicate it because it was patented by Nintendo. So yeah. Which kind of sucks, not gonna lie. But I guess it makes sense. Also, like, there's one thing where, like, it's a Nemesis system situation, yes. I mean, but you have patents all the time, right? You have types of patents in gaming all the time. But some are so obvious, like the Nemesis system, that you're like, yeah, I guess we can find a ways of. Or I guess like a better example would be like the Power World situation, where you have the ball and you throw the ball, and the creature comes out of the ball, and they can ride the creature and all that. Like that thing can be easily circumvented by what they've done, where you throw the ball and it turns out the creature just stays next to you and not where the ball landed. It's like a quirky thing that you can change. But with the Nemesis system, or the insanity meter affecting your TV, or faking the TV, right? Because you have the volume slider, you have the save system getting corrupted and then coming back up. It's very specific, right? And like, there's no way you can. Or maybe there's, like, I'm not smart enough to think of a way, I guess. But it's very hard for you to not make something similar and people immediately not being like, oh, that's from like the Nemesis system, that's from Eternal Darkness system. Either as you make it as an homage to that specific system, or people will call you out on that, right? Because it's very specific in a way that works. But yeah, like, it depends on what's written, and even depends on the people doing it, because I people smarter than I am, like, and more creative than I am, will definitely look at that and be like, oh, yeah, we can circumvent this in a way that doesn't infringe on the patent. Definitely not coming from me, because I'm not creative enough to think of those types of systems. But yeah, it sucks. It sucks that Eternal Darkness I would love to see like a straight up port to like Switch. Like, don't even give me upres graphics or whatever. Just give me the way of playing the game in modern systems. But I don't think Nintendo even wants to touch that, to be honest. And the game, from what I understand, the game sold pretty badly. Like below ARMS. And ARMS did pretty bad on the Nintendo Switch. ARMS did pretty bad on the Nintendo Switch, which is like the second most sold console of all time, I guess. Home console of all time. And GameCube didn't sell that well as people think, especially for Nintendo standards. Like the GameCube, I think it sold a little bit better than the N64, but N64 did not sell that well as well. So I can't imagine how badly Eternal Darkness did on that console. I'm just gonna like call it here, like I like the bullshit of, and Kojima mostly does this like in every trailer. It's like you get the credits and you get like people talking and spouting nonsense out of their mouth on the credits, and then suddenly like, oh wait, there's still 3 more minutes of trailer. Hold on. It's so funny. Yeah, like I think people that were playing it like realize, because there's a warning. There's a warning at the beginning of the game that those things will happen. You just like, you don't know when it's gonna happen. But I also think like marketing probably failed at the time. And to be fair, like how does Nintendo, like a family-friendly company, like advertise a game that's technically mature without breaking the brand, right? Like I bet there's conversations going like that occurred at the time, but Eternal Darkness was before Resident Evil 4. If it's not around the same time, but I mean, we can see it. Resident Evil 4 release date, that was 2005. Eternal Darkness, Sanity's Requiem was 2002, actually, yeah. Whoa, actually 3 years before. Quite revolutionary. Not, I mean, not really, because you still had Resident Evil 3, like with that POV and Silent Hill, right? So I guess, yeah. But it's different, like for a Capcom to advertise a Resident Evil, right? Because you are used to the campiness, or Konami. Resident Evil 3 was actually maybe. I don't think it was 3. I don't think 3 was on Nintendo. It was Resident Evil 3 Nemesis came out for the GameCube, actually. Okay, GameCube was also there. But I think they also had the Code Veronica. And 3 was 1999. Jesus. That's goddamn. Code, okay, I think Code Veronica came out for the Nintendo GameCube as well, and Code Veronica was 2000 actually. 2003 for GameCube. Yeah. But it's one thing like for Capcom to advertise Resident Evil because they had the historical context of having Resident Evil, right? And not... Yeah, like Code Veronica was original on the Dreamcast, but then it came out for the Nintendo GameCube 3 years later, from what I'm seeing here. Yeah, so it was in the PAL territories. It was March 2004, and it was for the Dreamcast. It was May 2000. Jesus, that was, yeah. With Code Veronica X being a Japan exclusive in 2001. But yeah, Code Veronica came out on thing. But the thing is, like, Silicon Knights at the time was by Nintendo, and I think it would be kind of hard for Nintendo to be advertising stuff like, you know, Super Mario Sunshine, or advertising family-friendly fighting game Super Smash Bros. Melee, or, you know, Kirby Air Ride, Wave Race, and then suddenly, like, you have this game that will make you piss your pants. Like, oh geez, and it's made by us, and parents will be like, oh shit. Oh no, Nintendo is going dark now. I don't know. I think it's really hard for them to advertise Eternal Darkness on the GameCube, and GameCube not selling that well as at the time, because you had the PlayStation 2, and PlayStation 2 was beating everyone's asses. It's like, I guess it makes sense that that game didn't do very well, right? It's also one of those games that you can't advertise what the game does, right? Because if you think about it, it's like, oh yeah, like this game will mess up your TV and your mind. It's like, okay, now you gave away the thing. Like, there's no... It was also on the peak of video games are the devil and stealing your child's movement. To be fair, how many peaks did that movement have? Because, like, it was the 80s with the Dungeons and Dragons, the Satanic Panic stuff. And then 90s you had Pokemon with the PETA, and like, oh no, Pokemon is making you kill animals and it's bad to animals. Like, okay, man, like, shut up. And then the video games are the devil, and still, like, I think this is a cycle that keeps on repeating. In the meantime, let me just discuss one thing I need to rant about, which is not the collector's edition being code only, okay? Like, I understand that with consoles going full digital, if you want to make a collector's edition, it will probably be like just digital. I still think it sucks, but I understand the thing of that thing. I just want to say, like, how fucked up the pre-order to get early access is a thing now. Like this game comes out on the 26th, right? On 27th. Where's the release date? March 7th. No, that's the pre-order. Or 1 week, right? June 26th, okay? And you can pre-order the game and get early access with June 24th. And I'm like, I fucking hate this. Like, selling access is just... I just, like, I wish everyone would agree that turns out you're not paying for early access, you're paying less for late access. Like, I think if the game comes out on the 24th, for early access and deluxe edition adopters, it's like, hey, the game is out on the 24th. The president is doing way worse. True. The president is doing way worse. But I don't know, man. I think, like, we are monetizing, like, we're getting to the point where monetizing everything to the point of stupidity. And it's like, okay, we got the micro... I understand games are expensive to do and to make. Games are in a bad way, are needing another way of monetizing what they can with in-game items and whatever. but monetizing access is just like, we're doing this now, right? And like, how much is early access worth actually, right? Like, how, like, can you just like this edition, like I guess the deluxe edition will be like 90, 100, whatever. Like, is playing the game 2 days early worth $20, right? Or 5 days earlier, is it worth $25? What if it's like just 1 day early? Is it worth like 10? I don't know, like it's just I hate this. Like, I hate they found a way to monetize. Okay, I don't think so. Would it better if early access was access to betas during development and ability to give input on the game? I don't think that's better, to be honest. Because like if you're playing a beta access usually means that the game is probably set in stone with some tweaks here and there, like that you can input. Like what happened kind of with, I guess, Multiverses, and we saw how that game went, right? Or how that game go, which was not very well. But if you're playing what they call a beta access, it usually means like the game is set in place and we need you to test like some of the final stuff, like online connectivity and stuff, which makes sense because like online connectivity is something that's hard to test on an internal on the internal side, because you can put 100 to 200 people that are developing the game, trying the game all at the same time, and the servers will probably handle it. But if you give that to players that want some early access and be like, hey, can you test the connections, like what usually they do with fighting games, right? I think we will be a better server stress test than doing that internally, and like that's okay. But I also think that those beta access should not be paid. Okay, like Tony Hawk is doing the same with a demo. If you pre-order the deluxe edition, I'm like, you shouldn't, just don't gatekeep fucking demos, man. Like, just let people try the game out and see if their machine can handle it, or if they like how the game feels. I don't know, like I just feel like we're scraping the bottom of the barrel in ways of monetizing everything to the point where it's getting like it's not making any sense anymore. Like, oh yeah, I can pay $20, especially like if you think about it, like, okay, you get some in-game items if you pre-order the game, but how good is these games in-game, right? Like, can you grind for those? And if you can grind for those, like how long will it take? If it's easy to obtain, then why pre-order the deluxe edition? And if they're hard to obtain, like even on a single player, like, doesn't make sense. On a single player game doesn't make any sense, because like what are you doing? Like, are you being better than everyone else in a non-competitive way? I don't know. This is just like more of a rant than anything else. Like, and it's not. Yeah, just gold paint pants, right? What the fuck? Level 1, level 2, and level 3. But I guess you can get the same boost battle and bokeh skeleton, whatever this thing is in not gold. And the weapon says early unlock. Nice spotting. So that means you eventually, like, if you play the game normally, you eventually also get it. So I don't know, man. Like, it's just weird. Like, I think it's just weird that we're monetizing early access to a game, right? And then people call it like the release launch and the release version. And like, okay, man, like just Just, oh yeah, no, the game actually releases on the 26th. No, the game actually releases on the 24th. Like, oh, there's a patch. Then that's called releasing a patch. It's not releasing a game. It's just like, what the fuck? I don't know. I just get really angry about this stupid monetization stuff. Like, I wish people would monetize stuff that actually is kind of cool. Like, I guess the statue is pretty cool, right? The statue is nice. Where's the Magellan Man? Also, Portugal mentioned Magellan Man. If you guys don't know, Magellan is the English name for Fernão Magalhães, which is the Portuguese navigator, or the laptop. If you're, I guess if you're younger, you remember like the Magellan laptop, right? Yeah, paying 2 days early access is the most. 2 days, 3 days, like 1 day, or like 5 days, like you had with Avowed. It's like whatever. The toaster laptop. Look, I've played Fallout 1 and 2 on the laptop. I have a different but related pet peeve. If it happens to download a GOTY edition or something like that, for the love of God, tell me what was DLC so I don't use them if they are game breaking. I see. Okay, you don't want to be overpowered because you bought a GOTY edition. I think you can see the listing on. I mean, if it's on Steam, you can see the listing. But yeah, like just some warning would be nice. Like, hey, this is GOTY content, or this is like deluxe content. If you want to access it, that would be kind of nice. If it was like a month, it will get there, right? Like, it will get to that point where you can buy the game and you'll be playing it for a month. How long was WWE? Right? People were, I think WWE released last Tuesday, I believe, but people were playing it like the early access for like a whole week before, or like 15 days. WWE 2K25 editions. Let me check. Pre-order now. Is the game out? You got the Bloodline edition. I thought the game was already out. Pre-order bonus offer available through March 13th, 2025. Okay, so it ends today, the pre-order bonus. Okay, but when does the game release though? The standard edition is out March 14th. So you have like this game March 14th, like the game comes out tomorrow. But 7 days early access, March 7th, you got early access all the way, like, it's almost a whole week. It's a whole week of early access. My God. It's ridiculous. There is actual early access to a game where you... I'm sorry. I lost the chat there. I have a different... Okay, but if it was like a month. The thing is like... Okay, hear me out. There is an actual early access to a game where you decide to play early and help test and improve the game, sure. 2 days does not qualify as early access. The thing is... Okay, hear me out. And that's why I don't think I agree fully with you, Rene. If you are buying a game to get like a month early or 2 month early access and help like with improving the game, you're paying to work. Because that's the tester's job, right? Like to improve the game. Or am I misunderstanding what you're saying? Because I feel that's paying for you to do the work for them, right? I feel there was a job position available, like describing exactly what you were saying. And I don't think we should steal jobs from people at this point, especially not paying to have the same job as people and not getting paid for it. Yeah, it's no problem, Futsulugo. Welcome to the chat. Alright, like if you're paying to play the game in like a month or two early, and then like helping develop the game, like sure you can give feedback, of course, but and that happened with Hades, that happened with Baldur's Gate, that happened with a bunch of games, right? But I feel we are paying to be an intern instead of being paid to be an intern. Right? I mean, that's like, it's fine to disagree, but I feel that's what we're doing right now. Like, yeah, I want to play the game and I want to participate in development to mold the game you like, but maybe let's not monetize this in such a blatant way that it's like you can pay to be a game tester now, I think. Look, I was very happy to play Hades 1, right? I bought the game in early access as soon as they hit the Epic Store, right? What I'm saying is, let's not make this a feature. Like, let's not make this as normalized, so we are not doing this for every game. Like, oh yeah, you can do like 2 months early access now, and you can, if it's a free to play game, like sure, whatever. Like, I guess you can buy the founder's pack. But if it's gonna be a free to play game, it's like, okay, I don't need to pay for this. I just wanna like play it early. But if it's a game that you are going to pay later, like I don't know, it feels like the more as we progress, the more irky it seems. I don't know. But it is what it is. Like, that's people will find every way possible to monetize the hobbies. And if there's no pushback, we just get like the hobbies more and more monetized, right? And that happens like in everything. That happens in music, that happens in videos, like in cinema, right? Happens in almost every hobby you can think of. Even like, if you like, we used to be musicians, right? And now you can pay for apps on your phone to be tuners, right? And there's a tuner subscription. Like, you want to tune your guitar, hope you have your subscription paid off. It's like, what the fuck, right? And it's not a very good tuner. But that's what happens. Like, you'll get monetized in every possible way. In other news, Xbox new hardware plans begin with a gaming handheld. I was glad to rest Hades 2. I've grinded a lot. Test, okay. I've tested Hades 1. Like, I bought that thing in alpha access because Epic Games released and Hades 1 released alongside with that store, and I was eager to try a new game from that team. And I knew eventually I was going to play that game, right? But like, looking back, it's like, hey, I bought an unfinished game, and I've maybe helped alongside the development of it, but I was paying to be a tester, basically. And fine, like, I'm not saying you guys shouldn't do it. It's just like, yeah, at some point we are paying to be in interns in this business, and that's just weird. In the meantime, Xbox new hardware plans begin with gaming handheld, right? Microsoft's first full foray into PC gaming handhelds begins with a partner device set to launch later this year with its own Xbox Series X and S successor now fully in production. So, from what I heard, it's Asus, right? That they're developing the thing is, if you want to go that way, if it's not even early access, you are paying to test because the game never launches properly. That's also true. Even if you buy the game day one, you're paying to be a tester. Yeah, that's a good point. And that's why, like, people, I guess it's one of the reasons people are buying games day one less and less as well, right? Because you see people are playing older and older games right now, at least on Steam. I don't know how the other platforms are. So I saw this news of like an Xbox gaming handheld, and I thought, I don't know how they are going to do this in a way that feels appealing to me. Like, first of all, like, first thing, like, to get this out of the way, hearing about a Series X and S successor, it's now in fully production, so we're getting a new generation of consoles in 2025. I'm not saying it's not expected, because it's like it's been 5 years since the launch, and obviously they're already working on the new PlayStation 6 and on the new Xbox. But at the same time, like, shit, it's been 5 years? God damn it. Already? What happened? There's a lot of stuff, like, I feel this generation was, overall, at least this is a bit personal to me, but I feel this generation was a bit of a dud. I feel there was not a big leap in terms of graphics. There was not I don't feel there's a big leap in terms of technology from PlayStation 4 to 5. Like, the graphics got better, but because there's like a bunch of factors, like you had a lot of remasters from the previous generation. You had the pandemic also, like, fucking up a bunch of development and delaying everything, both on PS4, on PS5 and Xbox. You had you had a bunch of stuff, like multiple factors going in, that I feel that this generation compared to the previous one was just weird, and I feel like we're not fully in motion yet 5 years later. Again, this is just might be my perspective. I might be wrong. And so it feels kind of, it was like, it caught me off guard when they say, yeah, we're working on the successor now. Like, oh shit. Okay. Improve the optimization, the metal, I guess. But yeah, it was kind of weird, right? And now, like, as we get to the end of the generation, we got the DLSS in full force and the PSSR in full force. The gaming handhelds also came in full force, which kind of skewed the whole perspective together. So, like, it got weird. Like, this generation was a generation of change, most of all. I'm not saying I'm not even gonna say if the change was good or bad. It's just like, it was a change for sure. But as a big fan of handhelds, like, I like this change. I like gaming on the go. I like going to the couch or going into my parents' home, right? Visiting my parents, and I just get my Steam Deck with me, and like, oh, I can play the game I was playing right at home, right? Which I do appreciate the handheld revolution that occurred with the Switch and with Steam Deck coming in. With Xbox, like, launching a handheld, I have two things on this. First, I think they want to beat PlayStation to the race. First of all, like, I feel they, obviously there's probably like internal conversations going about this, but I feel the conversation went with, I think we are better when we beat PlayStation in the race. Not launching stuff after they launch, but before they launch, we establish ourselves in the market. And I think this is exactly what this is. It's them, like, okay, PlayStation released that Portal, but Portal is not exactly a gaming handheld in the traditional sense. It's more like a streaming device. And I think Xbox is like, we need to do this, like, first, right? And second, I feel like it's gonna be bit weird if this is not the Windows device. Because I guess like what I want from this is a gaming device that makes me want to play the games that I have on my PC, or like if you are a Game Pass user, like on the Game Pass. But also I want them to be like in a more streamlined fashion, right? Like give me a UI that makes things easier. In the sense of like what was I wanted to play like something on my TV, and now I got the Steam Deck, and that kind of works. But sometimes it's like I want to play Tekken. Tekken runs not very well on the Steam Deck. Like I need to tone down the resolution to like a half or something. But I also need to plug in the ports, like with because I play with the leverless. I need to plug in the leverless and have the gamepad also connected, and there's like a bunch of cables going around my living room just to play Tekken on a very poor resolution. Okay. It plays fine. Like I can play ranked with no lag at all, and I can do the stuff, but like the characters are not looking great. Okay. But what I want from this is a gaming handheld that lets me have other storefronts in it, and at the same time not being a hassle to work with. I don't know if that's making much of a sense for you guys in chat. But I want something that I can plug in onto my TV and not be basically a full computer. I want something that gives me the console experience while also being malleable. And I think like Steam Deck already achieves that, but because it's Linux, I can't have the Game Pass stuff, and I can't have the GOG stuff. You know, the even emulators. Like emulators work fine on Steam Deck, but you do need to, like, if something goes wrong, you do need to be a little bit of tech savvy to mess around with that system. Obviously you can look into tutorials online and all that, but I think you can, like, I don't think a common user would be able to take the best advantage of a Steam Deck, and I think that's what I want this from Xbox. Like if the Xbox handheld, it's like, hey, you can play Indiana Jones on this shit, not via streaming, okay, like via local local files, right? And you can plug this onto your TV and be like having a console-like experience with an Xbox storefront or a Microsoft Windows storefront. I think that would be great. However, and that's a big however, I don't think Microsoft is able to pull this at all. Because every time, I don't have Game Pass anymore, but I do have some Windows games on their storefront. Every time I open that fucking storefront, that it's so fucking bad. I hate that UI. And it gets worse. Like, as I was watching someone do this on the Windows 11. Windows 11, it's like, it's full of fucking ads of things I will never want to subscribe to. Like, I don't need this at all. I will never ever subscribe to whatever the fuck you're showing me on screen. And like, I don't feel Xbox is gonna be able to pull a handheld without enshittifying everything in its fucking UI. And like, I obviously, like, I bet there's conversations around this internally, but like, the more I look at Windows 11, and they're like ending the support for Windows 10. While I look at Windows 11, like, I don't even feel this is a full product yet, and like, I don't want to migrate from Windows 10 to 11 because this feels so fucking shit right now. Like, I need to find a way of having stuff that works better than the Windows. Like, at this point, they're asking, like, just fucking install Linux on this, right? Like, just install Linux and like you get a better Steam Deck, I guess. Get Steam OS on this, and you'll be able to play your Steam games that are better optimized, because it's probably gonna have better specs than the Steam Deck, and then like you don't need to deal with Windows at all, because this is gonna have Windows for sure on the background, right? Nose is itchy. Goddamn. I don't know. Like I don't feel this is good. I don't see a world where Xbox announces its handheld and I'm like, huh, I kind of want this. Maybe okay. From a tech perspective, I kind of want this the same way I want like a ROG Ally or a Lenovo. I want to get those just to fuck around with those, but on a personal level, like I can't see myself like having a good experience with this. I'll probably pick up one and then be like, yeah, I think I'm just gonna go back to my Steam Deck, and that's it. Yeah. And also like the new console, like the new home console that they are talking about. There's talks about it being like a all-in-one box again for your living room. So like I guess a PC with better UI for a living room stand, I guess, instead of like it being a desktop on your office or whatever. I'm like, I don't know if I want this. Like at this point, just get a PC. I don't know. It will always like it will depend also on like pricing and all that. But I'm morbidly curious about what they're going to show when this is announced, or allegedly what this is, and then like be whatever it is. I don't think like we're gonna get like a better experience than Steam Deck right now. It is what it is. Like you don't know what to expect at all. I mean, who does, right? Because at this point, like Microsoft feels like they're in a race, but trying to run sideways, right? And then like PlayStation coming like late in the game. Like I mean, if PlayStation gives me like a handheld console that plays PS4 games and PS5 via stream, because obviously I'm not expecting a PS5 portable, but if they give me the option of playing up to PS4 games on a handheld and then like streaming the PS5 locally, I'm like, sure, whatever. I'm fine with that. So yeah, that has been like, speaking of Steam Deck, by the way, Ubisoft reverses. That's a big ad. Ubisoft reverses Steam Deck support for Assassin's Creed. Reverses? I don't think reverses is well, but I guess the game will be certified on day one after all. This is just a small piece of news, by the way, like nothing major. But if you're looking forward to Assassin's Creed, like they are happy to say that we are supporting Steam Deck at launch and are currently waiting the level of classification from Valve. It said. However, okay, I feel this piece of news led me to believe. Okay. Ubisoft reverses Steam Deck support for Assassin's Creed Shadow. The game will be certified on day one after all. Ubisoft has confirmed that Assassin's Creed will be Steam Deck certified at launch, reversing a recent statement which claimed that it wouldn't meet the portable minimum specs. So is it gonna be or not? QA published in February, Shadow's technology director said that the game at launch would not be compatible with Steam Deck. Okay, so reversed. Jesus, this was written in a way that I hate this. So you are going to get What the I'm so confused. QA published in February, Shadow's technology director said the game at launch would not be compatible with Steam Deck due to the fact it's below minimum specs for PC. Okay, so not compatible. However, in a statement published in other social media channels, on its social media channels Wednesday, confirmed that the Steam Deck will now be able to run Shadows on release later this month. So, but it's not verified. VGC, what the fuck? It's not certified. It's just like it will probably play. Oh, God damn it! This gaming journalist, man. But yeah, apparently Shadows will run on Steam Deck. This will probably have the FSR stuff. We'll probably have the FSR stuff enabled via the AMD chip. I'm gonna say, if it's anything like Avowed, I'm gonna say don't expect the game to run amazingly. It's like, I mean, I don't know how many of you have a Steam Deck. Baldur's Gate was Steam Deck certified or Steam Deck verified. You can play that game on a Steam Deck at 25 FPS on a very, very low resolution. And it's very, very playable, okay? Like, you can get that game to run on the Steam Deck and play it on the go. To say the game is verified and like, as in, you can play this game flawlessly, it's like, it gets me to worry about the verification process at Valve. So if it's anything like Baldur's Gate or if it's anything like Avowed or whatever games they released saying verified, like, or Fallout 4. Fallout 4 was another one of those where they made an update saying, yeah, like, now it's Steam Deck verified, and turns out the game ran worse with that update than the previous version. So I can see the game running at like 25-ish, 30 frames on a very, very low resolution. So yeah, you can technically play it, but sure. In the meantime, like, another small piece of news. Rene brought this to my attention. I'm not the biggest Power World fan, I gotta admit. But a Power World will get crossplay update as of late March as part of the big update. So you can now play across, I guess it's Xbox, PlayStation. Where is it? In a post on X Twitter, Pocket Pair confirmed that you can play multiplayer across all platforms and world transfer for pals. So I guess it's like PC, Xbox, and PlayStation now. I feel this came a bit too late on the timeline of Power World, which it's kind of weird. But you know, like, people are still playing that game anyway. We can actually check on SteamDB, Steam Charts, Power World. How many of them are playing? You still have 43,000 players? Damn. Okay. So that's kind of cool. People were quickly pointing out that maybe, you know, crossplay didn't happen because of Nintendo lawsuit going on, and I think that's I don't think that it's anything to do with a lawsuit. Will probably not do anything to stop crossplay from happening. I do think that they have two platforms here that are probably way stingier to get crossplay. One is obviously PlayStation. PlayStation has been known to be a little bit stingy about crossplay, or maybe it's hard to implement, right? But I feel Macintosh, so you can play these games on Mac OS now with crossplay, and I think that would probably be the worst part to get crossplay on, because, you know, security issues and all that. So, like, I guess Apple would probably raise some flags about it, or they were just not ready, right? Like, this is me speculating. And before we go into the last piece of news, Balatro creator says it's useless for him to give advice to other devs because I only have one data point and it was a 5 million sales success story. This industry moves fast to follow anyone's footsteps. I read this piece of news and like it was so funny to me. Local funk developer of the phenomenally successful Balatro has waited on a conversation about indie games, his unique place within the industry, and why I really hate when people in my position don't see the absurd bias we have. So Matt Pescatella, an industry analyst at Circana, posts on Blue Sky that it's impossible to selectively find and fund one next massive viral hit indie game. When a game like Balatro sells over 5 million copies, publishers obviously wants to find the next one. But who would have predicted a poker roguelite would be nominated at the Game Awards? Find the next Balatro, come on, Piscatella adds. Fund a bunch of new games and hope to stumble upon the next big thing that the dumb money will chase after it's been released. I agree. I'm no CEO, but I think it makes more sense to fund lots of small games and hope one of them hits the big leagues rather than pumping all the money into one game that's just trying to capitalize on the trend. This was written by Isse Vandervelde at Games Radar. And yeah, indie dev Rami Ismail, all advice is bad but not meaningless, and claims people can look to others for inspiration, but treating advice as dogma isn't the way to succeed. I really hate when people in my position don't see the absurd bias we have. It's useless for me to give it out advice because all I have is one data point. I spoke about it in my first blog post. I'll share what I do and did not preach that everyone should do it, right? Video game industry moves rapidly, and what worked for one developer or team one year isn't guaranteed to work for somebody else the next year. And you can see this on the quantity of vampire-like survivors. Vampire survivors-like? Jesus, that was a mouthful. Oh ho, we have a raid. Hey, Balgusto. How was the rest of your stream? That's a load of hashtags. What the hell? Bikinis malhadas. Okay, Jesus. Jesus, eat a ghost pepper for us. No, not a fucking chance. I'm not doing that again. Trasorel patecas. Give me a second. Okay, give me a small second. Hold on. Let me get to the just chatting. You guys want Oreo? Let's take a quick break so I can get you Oreo. Say hi. My god, it's so heavy. Ah! Here's a jonker. You okay? Say hi. I ever heard the story of the three fairies? I didn't. Yeah, I know, it's super big. It's super big. 8.5 kilos. Yeah, how was the rest of your stream? It's a chunky boy. Yeah. He's we did like when we got him when he was like a small kitten. Like we got him from a shelter and he was like this small. And we never thought he would be this big of a guy. We did an Oreo emote. That's true. That's actually true. And yeah, welcome Raiders. Let me introduce myself. Actually, I never do this. If you are not following me, I do I do. Conceição, welcome. Thank you for the following. It's a dwarf puma. God. Yeah, my name's Fgeitas. I'm a video editor for the Game Theorist channels, and I do gaming news usually on Thursdays on this very same Twitch channel. I post stupid stuff on my socials. Usually it's shit posting. And these VODs will later be available at my YouTube channel. You guys can subscribe to those and follow me there. Alexa, thank you for the follow as well. Can't believe you didn't have the follow yet. But yeah, we discussed gaming news, and Louisa, thank you as well for the follow. We discussed gaming news. We usually talk about the industry and stuff. I mean, I usually don't advertise my stuff, so I was kidding. Okay, I was kidding. Don't take that personally. Okay. But yeah, we discussed gaming news. We discussed business news most of all, and we went through a lot today. We've talked about a lot actually, from old forgotten Nintendo games, horror Nintendo games that they never touched upon ever again. We were talking about Death Stranding 2 and the early access shenanigans, and how it's stupid to pay for early access, and how companies found a way to monetize the way you buy games in every shape and form. And we are now talking about how Balatro's creator says that they shouldn't look at him for guidance, because he only has horror. What horror game? Eternal Darkness from Nintendo. A game that probably sold pretty badly, and Nintendo will never speak of it again. Shame. It's a shame. I think that game is actually pretty sick, but also Nintendo dug themselves in a hole by patenting the insanity mechanic of that game. So that's why you never saw any game trying to pull the same thing, which means that not even Eternal Darkness will return. Not only Eternal Darkness will not return, so you'll never see anything like it in the upcoming years, I guess, unless for some reason Nintendo decides to bring that thing for any reason that I would never understand. But yeah, now we were talking about this, how Balatro creator says it's useless for him to give advice to other devs because I only have one data point. He only released one single game, and it was a success story, obviously. And we were talking about how people are trying to already find the next Balatro. Actually, there was a convention. I think it was last week. And a bunch of investors were trying to speak to indie devs and trying to find a new success story, and I'm like, I don't think that's where you find those people. I feel people that make games like Balatro or that make games like Vampire Survivors are not hanging around in conventions, right? Are not trying to sell their games to big corporations and get funding. They are working shitty jobs and coding at the end of the day, where they should be spending time with family or doing anything else. And yeah, you need shoes. What? Yeah, they're not looking for those people. Right, they are doing their own thing and trying to make up a game, and that's why they probably won't find the next success story in those conventions. They are not there. But also the Balatro creators, so Local Funk, the local funk dev was saying that like don't look at my stuff. Like I've did this, and this is a one-of-a-kind success story, and that's true. Like every day we have a bunch of every day we have. Oh yeah, I guess we had the hats by Google. Sure. I mean, maybe I was actually searching for shoes, I guess. But I don't use an ad blocker. So yeah. Thunk was saying like, hey, don't, like, this was a one-of-a-kind success story. And like people shouldn't look at me about the stuff that I did, and shouldn't look at me for guidance, because I only have one data point. I only have one story, and it went incredibly well. And that's not the norm. That's actually a very, very like unusual thing that happens, right? You making your first game into a 5 million sales success. Like it's not something that happens every day. I wish it was, but yeah. So yeah, Local Thunk was talking about on Blue Sky and on Twitter, like, hey, don't follow me for advice. Obviously, like all advice can still be a good advice. Like Rami Ismail was saying, all advice is bad, but not meaningless. And you can look at that and be like, yeah, you can search for inspiration. But I feel like now some companies are trying to find Balatro 2 or ways to make Balatro a Balatro sequel, if that makes any sense. But even if they make that sequel, it will not hit with the same hardness as that first game hit, right? It's about being simple, kind of like what Vampire Survivor is, right? It's a simple game, everyone can play it like on their phones or whatever. And if you launch the second, it's like, yeah, okay, I guess it's more of the same. Yeah. And we were actually wrapping up onto the last piece of news, which is Pokemon Go and Niantic's game business is being sold to the Saudi state, Scopely, right? And I feel there's a lot of conversations going on around this. People getting worried that, I mean, Scopely is known for their Monopoly Go game, right? And Monopoly Go, Monopoly Go is known for their aggressive microtransactions. Their Monopoly now. True. Didn't think of that. God damn it. You are learning, Noonan. That's good. Good pun. But people are worried that Pokemon Go will start to have aggressive microtransactions, or Pikmin or Monster Hunter now, whatever. I don't think the game will change that much, at least in the upcoming years, I think. Right, start to have, like, I feel Pokemon already had like some aggressive microtransactions, but you could still play that game pretty much free, I think. Yeah, take care, man. Thanks for the raid, man. I know you have to go. Enjoy your shopping trip. And thanks for the raid, man, once again. But yeah, few games in the world have delivered the scale and longevity of Pokemon Go, which reached over 100 million players just last year, and the experience also stands apart from its unique ability to foster in-person connections, with Pokemon Go live events attracting millions of attendees, said Scopely board member and chief revenue officer Tim O'Brien in a press release. Okay. The thing is, like, the team is not going to change. Apparently they're buying the game and the team to keep working on it, so I think the game will basically remain the same. People are also concerned about the fact that, you know, Niantic had that big scandal about using the Pokemon Go data to build, I guess, a map of the world. And I think Nintendo will not let this game like become a cesspool, because I think it's still very important for them. Right? I feel Nintendo still cares about having Pokemon Go up. I mean Nintendo and Creatures Inc. and all, you know, and the Pokemon Company. Pokemon Company technically it's also part of Nintendo in weird ways, but they're in tandem, right? They coexist. And the thing is, like, they're partners, right? But I don't believe like those companies want this game to go the way of the dodo so soon, I think. But there was worries about Saudi Arabia acquiring like Niantic as well because of the mapping that they did and the data that they used to create a global geomap, right? But I also want to point out like that, like obviously like Japan has a big influence on the Pokemon culture, and Pokemon culture also influenced Japan popular culture. But I also want to point out that like I think every country uses pop culture to influence the perception of everyone around them, right? You like everyone talks about Saudi Arabia like problems with the LGBTQ crowd and human rights, right? And I think that like yes, they have problems. Japan also has its few share of problems, right? But we have this general notion that Saudi Arabia is this backwards, underdeveloped country that it's still like not very. It's still very conservative, right? And then we think of Japan and we think of the cuteness and the kawaii stuff, and like it's a very bad generalization of both countries, I think. And I think Saudi Arabia has been working their way up on the popular culture scale about like how they are perceived through the rest of the world. Obviously these things take time, as one can expect. But yeah, it's half and half really. Like you can find so many bad things about Japan if you search for it, and you can find so many good things about Saudi Arabia for sure. It depends on who you are, the perspective that you have on things, but it's not all doom and gloom, right? And I think but that's the thing, exactly. Saudi Arabia is very conservative. They don't tend to impose that on a worldwide business. And I think they know that if this thing is making money, which is making money, Pokemon Go, like no one can say to me that Pokemon Go is not making money. Come on. And if you tell me that they're looking into this and be like, oh yeah, we're going to change this and impose our views on the world through Pokemon Go, it's like, come on, man, you really think that? And Japan is way more conservative. Yeah, exactly. They impose their conservative views everywhere. That's true. So they're not going to change the game like to impose their worldviews. They're not going to change like as long as it's making them money, you'll be fine. Okay, Pokemon Go is not. Second World War, what's that? Japan? No, never heard of it. Isn't that where the... Oh no, okay, never mind. But yeah, we believe in prioritize. So the message continues. We believe that prioritizing short-term gains at the expense of long-term mission would be counterproductive and self-defeating. Every interaction I've had with Scopely leaders has reinforced that we are in total agreement that the skill, longevity, and most of all, real-world community of Pokemon Go make it truly special. We are united in protecting that. And then, yeah, Niantic is to refocus on geospatial AI business after selling the game division. So this is the part that I'm like kind of weirded out about. After they do like the geospatial AI business, that they used Pokemon Go for, and the other rest of the games that they used, that they launched. This is like, it's probably like the most worrying part if you think about like the military power that it's Saudi Arabia. I'm not saying we should worry about that, but they do get more information about this, right? Especially with Pokemon Go being so successful, like this geo mapping that they achieved, it's probably way better than what Google has at this point, right? So yeah, but I still think like on a direct perspective and talking about specifically about Pokemon Go, I don't think there should be worrying about. The game will still function as normal. The game will still be relatively standing in the same fashion that it still stood until now. And I was forgetting. Ruben actually sent another news. You joke, but when I was on a trip to New York, I had a way easier time navigating with Pokemon than Google Maps. Okay, I'm gonna say one thing. Like, this will probably make me a big nerd in the eyes of the internet. But I do use Pokemon Go when I go abroad, because the Pokestops and the gyms are all based on Google Maps data, right? But also user input, which means that every gym and every Pokestop is a point of interest in some way. Like, might not be a point of interest to me, but if you see a Pokestop there, like, something is there for you to check out. And that's how I use Pokemon. I don't play Pokemon Go. Like, I can't. I don't have the willingness in me to get out of my house and go for a walk just to catch freaking Pokemon, like virtual pets. I couldn't care less. But I install the game every time I go abroad. Like, I use it when on my trip to Copenhagen, like a month ago. I used it on my trip to Paris last year, and I'll probably use it this year again on my trip to Nice. And yeah, like, I think it's an early way to use Pokemon Go, but also a very funny way. It's like, yeah, there's a Pokestop there. Just let's check it out. And there's like a cool graffiti for you to check out. Like, oh, cool. It's a very, yeah, like statues, old cabins from the pilgrims. Yeah, it's so cool, right? Like that. And yeah, it doesn't show on Google Maps, but if you're looking at Pokemon Go, there they are. And I think it's such a cool way of using the game. I'm glad to know I'm not the only one, to be honest. And lastly, okay, like, let's go into this last piece of news, and check out Ubisoft shareholder claims. I'm just gonna, before I go into this, I'm gonna say I do have a Discord. I don't actually like talk about it that much, but I do have a Discord that you guys can join. There's sections in there that you guys can post news, and you can post questions, any questions actually. Doesn't need to be video game related. So if you guys want me to ask anything, as long as it's not weird, right? You guys can go there. You guys can send news for me to check out, and get some indie games highlights. It's not very active right now. Like, we're still building this community step by step, but I think it's important to mention. So if you guys want to join in on the fun, English though, please, because I do have some people, or actually most people, are not Portuguese. I mean, you can ask if I'm free Friday night. Am I this Friday night? I'm probably not. Probably not. Usually Friday night is time for me to go out with Mrs. and go have dinner somewhere. So probably not. But you can do those types of questions. Yeah. And this one was actually sent by Ruben there in chat. I was hoping for Taverna. Yeah, no, probably. If it is, probably Saturday. to be honest. I'll probably be at home, like I'll be dining out, but then going home to make some patches, work stuff. But yeah, Ruben sent this one for us to check out. So Ubisoft shareholder claims company failed to disclose meetings with EA and Microsoft about IP acquisition. So we're gonna learn this at the same time. Ubisoft shareholder is planning a protest outside the company's Paris offices after it claimed the studio failed to disclose meetings regarding a potential acquisition. First reported by IGN, AJ Investments affirmed that with less than 1% stake at Ubisoft, that's not that much, says that studio is horribly mismanaged by current management. I tend to agree. In addition, the firm CEO, I'm not gonna pronounce that name, Juraj Krupa, sorry if I mispronounced this, I have no idea how to say that, says that the company failed to disclose reporting meetings with EA and Microsoft among other interested parties regarding potential acquisition of Ubisoft IPs. Krupa says that the company didn't appropriately communicate its plans or talks with shareholders. Because of that, he is calling those who are frustrated with the prolonged stagnation in Ubisoft's stock performance and the lack of decisive action from the management team to join them in process in May. Oof, that's gonna be tough. In a statement given to IGN, Ubisoft restated its past messaging that reviews of strategic and capitalist options is ongoing at the company. Okay, so I think we've talked about this. I was like, what the? This is not. I love ads by Google. They take up so much space in my. No, I don't want shoes. Okay. So this is a lot to unpack because we've heard about Ubisoft selling themselves to Tencent and creating like a weird way of Ubisoft 2 Electric Boogaloo, right? And like them creating like, I guess, a separate company and selling the IPs to the new Ubisoft, and Ubisoft 1 gets like slowly withering out until it gets shut down. We haven't heard about talks of them selling IPs to EA and Microsoft, which, although it makes sense, because if they're making Ubisoft 2 with Tencent, they will not get all the IP. So I guess like the big Ubisoft or the main Ubisoft would get stuff like Assassin's Creed, or you'd get Division. Just Dance, probably. Just Dance is a big IP. I know people make fun of Just Dance, but Just Dance sells like a fuck ton on the Ubisoft side. So what they will probably get like selling would be IPs to EA and Microsoft. That would be IPs like, I guess, Trials, maybe Rayman, maybe Rabbids at this point. Rabbids, I'm not sure like how well Rabbids did with those Nintendo collabs. But those minor IPs that they own, maybe Splinter Cell at this point, I wish, would get sold. Would get sold to EA and Microsoft, among other interested parties. Maybe Rabbids can go into Nintendo actually, alongside with Rayman. The thing is, like, I was in Augustus' chat this morning saying, this investor like is not like, sure, like they should have been more open about it. Like, if you're selling the company or if you're selling IPs, you need to inform your investors about it. But like, the discussion of these stuff, like, it's still not about games. Like, I feel like everyone is hoping to bank on Assassin's Creed Shadows that releases like next week, I believe, and they want to, and obviously I want that game to succeed. I don't think, even if that game succeeds, the Ubisoft stock would rise, would get better because it's like it's a long trend of failures and miscommunications and bad management, and most of all failing to gather hype and interest around the company, right? So they like the prospect of selling the company is probably what Ubisoft has going for them right now, and not a lot more, unless Assassin's Creed Shadows like turns the freaking company around. And like, I'm gonna be fully honest, I think that game will probably be amazing. I like, from what we have seen on those gameplay trailers and gameplay scenarios that they shown, I think Assassin's Creed Shadows will probably be a very good game. Maybe a 90, like getting a score of 90, around 100, right? Like 89, maybe 89, 90. I think the game will reach those highs. I don't think that's enough for Ubisoft to make a turnaround. It's a two-edged blade. How come? I mean, it is. I mean, from what I understand, like I think Ubisoft's fate is hanging on the balance, and this game will be the deciding factor. I think that's the general perception. Personally, I think like Ubisoft's fate is already decided. We just don't know about it. And I think like they will eventually sell out the company. I think the only thing that's if it's bad, Ubisoft is screwed. If it's really good, they may get cocky. It needs to do well, but not too well to get on their heads. I don't think like if it's very good, they can't get cocky with this, because that's the only thing they have. Like I think like even if the game is really, really good, people will still point out how badly the company has been managed, like up until to this point. And it will not change the directions of how the stocks. Because if you look at the Ubisoft stocks, right? Ubisoft stocks, obviously, like they yeah, okay, up until like this is around what, before 1 a.m. That means like it's opening hours on the stock trade, right? So like obviously it's going up, but we're talking about cents, right? If you look at the trend, this is 1 month, 6 months, 1 year. Let's go for 1 year, right? It's slowly rising, not as much, right? But it's slowly rising. Like a few months ago, it was like at 1170. The problem is that like this is all based on vibes, right? It's not about games doing badly, or it's not about games doing. It's the public perception, right? Like Outlaws came out, I think the game was pretty fine. Game got like an 83, 84, which is a perfectly fine game. But the public perception was that that game was not very good. And that goes on, like that sends stocks down. Ubisoft, yeah, like Outlaws, I bet it's a great game. Like I didn't play it, but like the 83 or 84 that it has on Metacritic, like it's like the public perception, the game was alrightish. Like it was not a big hit, right? And they confirmed it actually. Like the sales was not doing that well. So the public perception around that game already on a downward trend. And like you've seen this coming from like 5 years, 2021. What was the last Ubisoft 2021 games? What did they have? It was Far Cry 6, Riders Republic. This did not hit at all. Monopoly, Rabbit Party of Legends. Like I don't know what this even is. Watch Dogs Legion, which was the DLC, right, for for the Watch Dogs game. Okay, but here we have it. Like, you got Scott Pilgrim, you got Far Cry 6, you got Riders Republic, Tom Clancy's Rainbow Six Extraction. Didn't this close out as well? Legion is a standalone? Okay. Okay, you got the collections, Trivial Pursuit, Roller Champions. This game, I think it's on this... if it's not closed by now. You know. Wild Arena Survivors for Android and iOS. I don't even think this came onto my radar. Oddballers. Like, they have a bunch of bets on small games that just did not hit. The Crew Motor... oh no, I'm already in 2023. Okay, like, not even that. Like, so it's... ends in Monopoly Madness and starts with Scott Pilgrim. So this is what they did in 2021. And from there, like, you see that there's not exactly like a major hit. Maybe Mario Rabbids, you know, Mirage, Assassin's Creed always sells kind of well, but it's not like, it's not enough. You got Prince of Persia, like, did not hit. Avatar did not hit. X Defiant did not hit. Skull and Bones kind of hit, but not enough for it to be. Scott Pilgrim, who eventually became Almost Lost Media. Yeah, that was good. Beyond Good and Evil got cancelled, right? Or it's not. It's like it's in limbo. The Beyond Good and Evil 2, and then you got Outlaws. You got more Just Dance, right? And if you look at the trend on the stock, like in 5 years, like you can see, like it's going downhill. Like they hit two peaks. One was around 2018, and 2018 was when they went hard on the esports thing, right? You had the For Honor stuff, you had the Rainbow Six Siege, and some other games that they bet on. But it's the peak of esports here, right? And then you got the second hit, like the second peak. It's around pandemic time, where everyone was thinking that everyone's going to be home and play video games. And if you look at those two stocks, that's where they made the most investments. Beyond Good and Evil is with Half-Life 3, yeah. Somewhere drinking mojitos made by Don Sebastian. Yeah. I don't think that game is ever coming out, to be honest. Or if it is, like, it's not even going to survive the hype. Or the non-hype. But yeah, those are the two spots. It's not about if you have good games or not. It's about like the perception and the investments that investors are willing to do around your company. And one was when the esports boom was happening, and the other was when pandemic hit. When people were thinking that everyone is going to be home and playing video games by themselves because they were not allowed to go out. And like those investments, like if you look at the games that they were releasing, it's the same games that they were releasing on the previous peak, which means like they didn't learn much. They decided that these are the games that we're going to do, and we're not going to change anything. And like this also rolls in with the Balatro story. Like you have one hit, but if you don't change the game enough for you to, you know, invite more people to play your games, like you are gonna go downhill. Like that's like the public perception is that it's Ubisoft. They're all doing their open world games. They're all doing their Ubisoft Towers, and they're all doing their Just Dances and all that. Like they are still doing the same thing. It's more of the same. And so the public perception around your stuff, like all that investment that you gather, it's like, turns out they're not doing much with the money that we gave them. So we're gonna pull out. we're gonna dip and be like, see you tomorrow. And that's why the stocks to go down, right? It's not about games doing badly or not, because like I bet Far Cry and Assassin's Creed really sold well on these time periods. I bet Just Dance made them enough money to make another one right after. I bet Mario Rabbids did fine. It's just that, you know, like they always did the same thing, and they had a lot of bets on random games as well. And like most of them didn't pan out. And like this sucks. This sucks for Ubisoft. This sucks for people working there. And as much as like I agree with like, yeah, investors like are pissed because the management has been fucking gross around on that company. They're not worried about if the games are doing better or good. They're just worrying about my investment needs to make a return, and I'm not in the talks, and I'm seeing talks around this that is gonna make me lose money. Which obviously that's their rule. Fine. And that's it. Like I think that's it for the news. Unless you guys have any questions. Welcome, by the way, onto whoever joined the Discord. So yeah, welcome on in. And I think that's gonna do it. Like we're almost hitting the 2-hour mark. If you guys have any questions that you want to ask, do it now. And or if you have any suggestions, I think I have someone to raid right now. Let me check out. Maybe not. Maybe not. You guys want to check out some news? Hey, Mr. Suave, welcome to the end of the show. But yeah, in the meantime, like before we go, what time do dailies reset on Tekken? Actually, good question. I never thought about it. I never thought about when, because I just go there and do the dailies, and I usually do them like in the morning or do them like at the end of the day. So I never know if it's like on like at 5 p.m. or if it's at like at midnight. So yeah, I don't have the answer to that. But it's fine, man. Like, don't worry. As I was saying, like, you guys can follow me on socials. I usually stream Thursdays talking about news, and there's some random streams scattered throughout the week whenever I'm available. I'll probably stream some more UFO 50 because UFO 50 has been consuming my life, and I do want to get at least the gold cartridges on that game, because that game is cool enough for me to be streaming and talking at the same time without losing much sense of what's going on in the game. But you can follow me on socials. I'm more active on Twitter and on Instagram mostly. I do have the Blue Sky if you guys are into that type of perversion, I guess. And this show will be available later on YouTube. If you guys want to subscribe to that channel, like, it will help me out a ton. Because it's basically right now the goal is to just have the show rolling. I'm not looking for promotion or to get the like monetization or anything. It's just like I need to do something on my own terms, and I need to talk about news, and I need to play my games on my stream and just like start doing shit on my own, because I do enjoy editing videos for other people, especially right now with game theory and all the theory channels have been like fantastic for the past 4 years. But I need to do stuff that is not related to FNAF, to Five Nights at Freddy's, or any other of those horror IPs that are out there, mascot horror stuff. So yeah, those are the socials. That's the YouTube. This is the Discord, and we're gonna end the show right here. I'm gonna play this music, and we're gonna go raid someone talking about news, but in Portuguese this time, apparently. right? I think. Am I right? I am right. That's it. Guy is still doing. Actually, no. Okay, he has 200 viewers. He's fine. Let's rate Anna. Anna has been doing what? She's doing Assassin's Creed. Say hi to Hannah for me. As I roll off into the sunset, which means that I'm rolling off to do more work after this stream. Thank you everyone for being there, and thank you for new follows. Thank you Luisa, Alexa, Conceição, and thank you for the raid, August, once again. It's been a pleasure, and I'll see you guys next week. Bye.